Welcome to the Athena Wellness Podcast, the show that invites you to take a seat around the community fire and listen to stories that inspire. I'm your host, Kathy Robinson, author, coach, and founder of Athena Wellness, a company that's dedicated to supporting you on your journey to live more wholeheartedly. Hello, and welcome to episode 24. Thanks so much for joining me on this slightly longer Wellness Wednesday episode. Today is the continuation from episode 23, where we talked about the importance of functional training. Our conversation today is about ways to fall in love with moving your body and upping your feel-good vibe. And at the end, we'll have a check-in with Dr. Robyn on the progress we've both made with our gentle spring reset that we introduced in episode 22. So sit back, take a nice long breath to ground yourself in presence, and let's get started. To begin with, I'd like to talk about some things that keep my feel-good vibe high, the things that keep me motivated, that keep me active. And it's my hope that you'll find a suggestion or two that resonate with you. The first is connecting with my why. Whenever I find myself in a bit of a lull with my routine, I remind myself why I'm doing this in the first place. For me, keeping my body healthy and strong allows me to enjoy life, a life I've worked hard for decades to create, and I want to fully enjoy it as long as I can. You've heard me say it time and time again, keeping well is all about doing the things that light you up with the people you love. Next is connecting with my body, feeling my muscles loosen, feeling the blood flow, feeling myself getting stronger, feeling the afterburn and all the goodness afterwards. The immediate mood and physical boost acts like positive reinforcement. So this is just a gentle reminder to enjoy how your body feels, to appreciate the body that you have and the journey you're on. Be grateful and give thanks for what your body can do today while looking forward to how it will change and what you will soon be capable of. Next is doing something that feels good or movement I love. Fresh air, walking, hiking, connecting with nature, clearing my mind, whether in silence or with music, being alone or with others, sometimes just playing. One of my favorite workouts in recent memory was with a group of friends early on a Sunday morning. We carried some equipment to a nearby empty playground and set up a circuit using monkey bars and other structures, and we had a great workout just with some resistance bands and some kettlebells. And of course, there are days when I'm not feeling very motivated, and on those days, if I'm exercising alone, I have two workouts, a strength and a cardio that I call my greatest hits, or just the moves I love. Those get me going and they rejuvenate me for the next day. The next is trying something new. Boxing, boot camp, a virtual race or a challenge, an event for charity. In recent years, charity events have been great motivators for me, and they've pushed my limits, whether it was learning how to road cycle after not being on a bike for 18 years, or doing speed work for a 10K event. Next is tracking your progress. Now, I get that this might not be everyone's idea of a high vibe, but I do like to look back and see what I've accomplished after putting in the work for a period of time. I keep a simple log. I add up the workouts and the miles each month, and again at the end of the year. The year I was training for my ultra, I ran enough miles to run from New York City to Wisconsin that year. Not bad for a 50-something. And as I mentioned, I go in cycles with how deeply I track my progress, sometimes with a Fitbit or sometimes with other apps. The next is having options. This keeps it easy for me to take weather out of the equation. I make sure to have plenty of indoor and outdoor options. Indoor can be anything from a treadmill and dumbbells, which is what I usually use, a stationary bike or a rower, a rebounder, or basic equipment like resistance bands, jump ropes, and a pull-up bar. And if you match those up with outdoor activities like walking, riding, hiking, running, or swimming, that works great. If the gyms are your thing, a membership is a great addition. Make it easy for yourself. Survey your life and address any obstacles or friction that keeps you from being active. Lastly is utilizing self-compassion. I frequently remind myself to gracefully accept where I am today, enjoy the changes I'm making, acknowledge the challenges, and celebrate the progress. Feeling good is what keeps me going. I hope you can give yourself this grace, along with the permission to prioritize your movement and well-being. Once you're in the groove, you'll naturally want to increase the challenge by upping the time or intensity. Maybe you'll choose to hire a trainer, try a new workout routine, or even train for an event. Movement is a lifelong commitment. There will be days you crush it, and there will be days when all you want to do is walk or stretch. It's all part of the process. And don't forget to build in rest days too. Fall in love with having more energy. Fall in love with feeling more strength, flexibility, and balance. Fall in love with feeling healthier. Feeling good will keep you going. Now let's check in with Dr. Robyn for the progress we've made on our Gentle Spring Reset. Dr. Robyn is here for our first of 4 weekly check-ins on our Gentle Spring Reset. Welcome back, Robyn.
Thanks, Kathy.
So I can't wait to hear how this week went for you. Please remind our listeners what you set out to do, how it went, and what you learned.
Well, my idea was that I was going to clear a space, and I think I did specifically say my office needed a good workover, and it's also tax time, so I'm doing a lot of work with documents and hopefully lightening the load a bit and processing them. So I made some progress. I'm sort of probably halfway through my book work, and in the process I've got rid of some papers. I managed to clear out my recycling cupboard of newspapers and paper bags, but to be honest, haven't made as much progress as I would like and have got a long way to go.
Well, it sounds like a success, so I'm going to give you an A there for doing all that work, because think about where you were last week at this time.
Sure. It's one of those putting one foot in front of the other and maybe not making it to the top of the mountain yet, but still making some good progress.
And the interesting thing that you chose the recycling place, because that's one of the places that you see most often. And to see that as a cleared space,
yes,
I'm telling you, you're going to come back next week and be like, you know what? It's additive. So I think you've made great progress.
Well, thank you. And we actually are having some alterations done starting early next week, and I'm going to have to be cleaning and sorting for that. So a bit of spring cleaning going on around the rest of the house too.
All right. Okay. Very good. Well, for me,
now
I had much smaller things than you had. So just keep that in mind as I go through. First was not to check my email or the news until after my morning workout. The first morning I woke up, and what did I do? I reached for my phone. Now, I did remind myself not to do it, but it just was a reinforcement of what a habit that is. That's the first thing I do. I did keep my intention for the entire time. I kept my promise, and I will tell you, it's a much calmer way of starting the day.
I can imagine that.
I'm going to continue with that for sure. The second was even simpler. It was just to put my old Fitbit back on my arm. And over the past 4 days, I logged in anywhere from 13,000 to 16,000 steps. And that includes my workout. And it includes my new spring routine, which is to take my afternoon outdoor walk. And that's just glorious. It has just been so nice to be outdoors. But that simple act made me realize that I had an opportunity to move more during the day. And I have to credit you because when we did our last podcast, one of the examples you gave was a simple 2-minute stretch if you've been working, and that kind of stuck in my head. And I realized that my watch now vibrates from the hours of 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. if I don't get up and walk. And it prompts me to walk 250 steps, which is about 2 minutes. So thank you for mentioning that, because when that goes off, I'm up and walking because I can just get absorbed into the day. So that was really wonderful. In addition, and this is the wonderful part of this, I started using a portable standing desk. So I'm really feeling energized. It's been a really great week.
That's great, Kathy. Well done. And, doesn't it illustrate how successes are more than just the things you do? Because obviously you're really lifted and elevated by those areas of success.
Yep, absolutely. So it was really great. So let's talk about week number 2. Are you continuing with what you set out to do, or are you going to choose something else?
I think I'll continue. I actually have a deadline I need to meet with this paperwork I'm doing anyway. So it's a good chance to make myself address some things that I've been putting off for a while. So I'll be sorting and simplifying this week as well.
Love it. That's great. Okay. And I'm going to continue with the things that I mentioned. But in addition, one of the things that I want to focus on this week is nutrition. I'm actually on day 4 of a 5-day fasting program that was created by a Stanford doctor. You'll be surprised to know I haven't had a cup of coffee since Saturday.
Oh, cruel.
I know. How unusual for me. And so I'm through the withdrawal headaches, feeling amazing today. But my intention for this coming week is to determine how to transition to a springtime meal plan. My initial thought is fruit until noon, which I usually do in the spring, maybe having 1 cup of coffee mid-morning, not having that be the first thing that hits my system. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking forward to making nice big pots of homemade soup with springtime vegetables. So I'm focusing on transitioning to a lighter meal plan.
That sounds great, Kathy. Sounds very healthy.
Yeah. So as we close, I'd like to remind our listeners who would like to join in all of this fun and all of this goodness that I'll put a link to a PDF that has examples of small steps that you can take to refresh your wellness routine, as well as a place for you to track your progress. And we've been encouraging listeners who are playing along to send in their stories. Let us know how you're doing. So thanks, Rob, and I'll look forward to next week's update.
Thanks, Kathy. This accountability certainly keeps me on task.
Beautiful, beautiful. Very good. Have a wonderful week.
Thanks. You too. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for joining me today. I know there are many ways you can spend your time. Thank you for choosing to spend it with me. Until our paths cross again, be kind to yourself and show your warrior spirit some love. If you know anyone who could benefit from today's episode, please pass it on. And many thanks for supporting the show by subscribing and leaving a review. It means a lot, and it helps others find their way to our circle. And if you'd like access to the show notes, have a question you'd like addressed on a future episode, or would like a transcript of this episode, visit www.athenawellness.com/podcast. Until next time, be well.